Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm dating coach Naz, and in today's video, I want to get into why you're still single and what to do about it. So, if you are interested, then please keep watching. So, if you're somebody who is going through a divorce, or you are divorced, you have gone through a breakup, or you're just sick and tired, frustrated of being single and attracting the wrong woman. So this is your time right now. This is your sign from the universe, whatever you believe in, to change this about your life, and basically kind of get into what is really holding you back, because a lot of us have blocks that is kind of stopping us from getting to the next level, the next dimension, to the next realm. So we need to kind of figure these things out for ourselves instead of distracting ourselves, which is what most men do, with work, with success, with productivity. But then your internal self is yearning for connection and just to feel loved and accepted and looked after. But because society and you know how we raise men is to be the provider, but we don't teach them how to be a provider for yourself as well. You got to provide, you got to, cater to yourself. You got to provide the nutrients to yourself, not just food wise, not just physicality wise, but also your mind, which is the most important part of your mind, your brain, which then affects all parts of your life, your energy, and the kind of relationships, the kind of experiences that you attract into your life. Today, I want to get into some of the things that I hear men say, and I really want to talk about these things because this is exactly these things that you say to yourself, to other people, to your friends, is what keeps you stuck, because it's an excuse. It's blaming everyone else except for taking accountability for yourself, which then holds you back, because then you're giving power to something else, which makes you powerless. But a leader, somebody who takes charge, that power is within you. So if you don't figure that for yourself, you're literally just giving away your power. And then that's where a lot of things happen. You get anxiety, depression, you have a fear of relationships, of love, a woman, and then you create these narratives to kind of keep you stuck where you are. And this is what I see constantly when I'm talking to men, and because I love observing men as well. I mean, I observe men and women as well, because I specifically work with men. This is what I notice. So the first thing that I notice is thinking that knowledge alone is going to fix your problem. Okay. And by the way, I've done this myself, where I remember when I first kind of got into, learning about relationships and narcissistic relationships and how that affects you and all those kind of things. I was just like a sponge. I was absorbing all that information, and I thought, okay, that's it. That's all I need to do. And then I realized it's a cycle, because what happens is when you don't have anybody to hold you accountable or to maybe show you the way to say, hey, this is not the way to go about it, what you do is you tend to go back into your old patterns and behaviors and tend to sabotage yourself. Especially if you don't have great friends around you, people that give you some crappy advice, or just family members that are negative, or they're not really doing that well, so they want to kind of drag you down with them. We have a lot of those. So it's very important to have somebody, a mentor, coach, a therapist, somebody there to hold you accountable. So then you kind of see, oh, wait, I am kind of repeating this behavior again. I am seeing this relationship because I'm basing my love based on their potential versus what is actually in front of me. So first thing I want to say is a lot of men think that podcasts, videos, and books is gonna be enough to fix your dating life. And yes, it's gonna give you information, but it's not gonna help you fix your life unless you do something called take action towards that, and actually take the right action, which is the most important thing, because right now in the world of social media, there's so much information out there, and it's vague. It's very it's not detailed, and it's not personalized to your own issues and circumstances and what you've been, what has happened in your past. So the advice that you get might not resonate with yourself, and it might not work. And then you might get frustrated and think, well, I've just, done this meditation once and it's not worked out for me and this is bullshit, whatever. So really making sure that you get the right advice, the right guidance from the right person is key. Also, another reality check, 94% of people never apply what they learn. Okay, so that basically is a big telltale sign that we really need to, take what we're learning and either journal about it, take some, steps in order to create a plan for, the next week I'm going to make this one change. The next week I'm going to do this. Because what happens is then we tend to go back into our old patterns, right? Now, the real issue here is when people say, okay, I'm just going to learn a bunch of information, and that's going to fix it. The reason why that's not true as well is because in order to, first of all, as a man, in order to attract a healthy relationship, and I know men will not want to hear this, but I'm going to be honest because this is the work, and I can't go through the curriculum and skip over the most important part, which is healing your wounds. Okay. So a lot of men have this baggage, this dark cloud that is hanging over you. And unless you really get to healing these wounds and just learning how to go about it, what you're going to do is you're going to carry it on to the next relationship. And then you might get into an unhealthy relationship where it's a bit toxic or it's a bit unhealthy, or maybe she cheats on you. And again, we get into it's her, right? But there's things that you have missed in that relationship. Why has this happened? Yes, it's painful to go through cheating. It's not your fault when she cheats, but I also want you to know that there is a pathway. There's things that take place that we need to be more mindful of. What have we done? What has happened in the very beginning? Because a lot of the times when I speak to men that have been rejected or hurt, I kind of go back into the starting of the relationship and they themselves tell me it didn't feel right. Something felt off. I saw this message from a guy and I ignored it. I avoided this red flag. So we're seeing these things, but we're choosing not to believe it because that package in front of us, that woman, whatever, she's sexy. So we let things go because this is where the what is it? Lust, infatuation. Why can't I say that word? It all comes into play. And this is why I always say, calm it down with the intimacy, wait for a little bit, get to know the woman first, because sometimes the devil is in a shape of a very beautiful woman and she's going to take away your money, your business, your kids. It is traumatic what can happen because I see it. I speak to these men who have lost so much of their their money or their, they say half of my money, more than half of it goes to my wife. And so this is where I come in because I really want to make sure us men are not going to fall into these traps. And really, we're getting to know the woman on a deeper level than just, surface level, which is what we tend to do. So healing your wounds. Also, another big one is lack of discipline. Okay. A lot of men lack discipline. And what happens is when you lack discipline, what it does is you basically default to your old habits and you self-sabotage. And lack of discipline doesn't just mean waking up in the morning and meditating or whatever. It could just mean that when you're dating and when you have told yourself, hey, this is my boundary, I'm not going to date a woman who, let's say, for example, your boundary is that when you're dating, you don't sleep with a woman within a month of knowing her. So that is a part of discipline. So then you stick to that and you wait for the right one to come in, not just fall for whoever isn't coming in front of you just because they look so pretty. And also discipline is not just about the work that you do, but it's about your relationships, because being in a relationship, you need to have a certain amount of discipline where you're able to have those conversations and you don't shy away and you make time for that woman. You take that effort. And discipline means you're going to be sacrificing a lot of things that look shiny, things that are going to give you instant pleasure. You're letting go of that and you're sticking to your whatever boundary it is that you've created. And also if you feel like if you gain a bunch of knowledge, but then you don't do any work day to day, wow, it just bit over, day to day on your mindset, on your soul, on your emotional control, on your confidence. And then you think, I'm just going to read a bunch of stuff and I'm going to magically find the woman. That is going to hold you back because that's not how this works. And also, that is going to basically block the right woman, your soulmate, from coming to you. And it's kind of like having mud on your windshield. Think about that for a second. Your soulmate might be right in front of you, but because you can't see her because of all that mud, she can't see you either. Now, the second thing that I hear constantly that men say is, I'm just waiting for the right woman to come along. She just hasn't, like, I'm 50 and I just have not found the right woman yet. Now, again, when men say, I'm just waiting for the right woman hasn't just come along. All these women out here are so materialistic and none of them want to, they don't want to commit to me, or whatever the case may be, that the story that you keep repeating in your head. Again, this is giving your power away to the woman. You're giving it away. You're saying it's just the woman. I'm waiting. I'm ready. I'm prepared. But then if I ask them, how are you preparing yourself for the right woman? What are you doing? What are the steps you're taking? Oh yeah, I'm just really busy right now with work and I'm working. And okay. So if you're working, which I get it, we all are working. I'm working as well. We all are here out, hustling, making money, whatever. But this is where I'm saying we also need to take out that time for things that we prioritize. We choose to prioritize. Because a lot of the times we're prioritizing going out with the boys and getting drunk, or going to the strip club, or just watching porn, or doing things that are draining us as men. A lot of your energy is going to get drained because you aren't taking those steps to be that man that this woman deserves and you deserve. And that is, again, where the misalignment comes in. A lot of men also, I feel like they're on a merry-go-round. They repeat the same 24 hours every day. They wake up, they go to work, they do one or two things, and then go back to bed. And they're doing the same things, but they're hoping for a different result. And that's one thing that I learned as just a human being, that you can't keep doing the same things and expect a different result. Because that's called insanity. Because we're not changing anything about ourselves. And again, this comes down to, luckily now we're talking about it, but anything that you want to change externally, that needs to start from within. And I know it's the hardest thing to comprehend, because you're like, how does this come out here? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But this is where the work is. This is where the faith comes in. This is where, really being connected and patient and putting the time into yourself first before you get stressed about a relationship or a woman. So if you don't change how you show up, you will keep attracting the same kind of relationships, period. And sometimes we have to get real with ourselves and ask ourselves, who is the common denominator in all of these relationships? And a lot of the times we are the common denominator in the demise of these relationships. And a lot of the times, if you just use the logic and you say, okay, what is the common denominator in all of these relationships? It's you. Okay. So making sure that we are really reflecting, and it's okay, because I had to do this reflection, and it is difficult to call yourself out and be like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I continuously repeating the same pattern? And it's difficult, but this is where the courage as a man has to come in, and you need to be like, I want to do this work because I'm just tired of living this life. You're basically going to live the same day until you pass away. So we don't want to do that. We want to live a life of purpose, meaning, having a family, even if you don't want to have children, whatever it is, but you have a home. And also your brain filters the world based on your emotions, based on your thoughts and beliefs. And so once we understand this, life changes. Women respond to who you are right now. They do not respond to who you hope to be someday. Because that is, again, what I notice with men, is they're hoping that one day they're going to show up as the man. And it's like, that's not how this works. You have to be that man right now, the man of discipline, the leadership, somebody who has emotional intelligence, who's secure in himself, who's not perfect, but who's able to own up to his mistakes, to hold himself accountable, to be forgiving. All of these things in a man, they're so important before you get into a relationship. Now, the third thing that I hear constantly is, I'm so busy. I'm too busy. Well, guess what? Everybody is busy. Okay. Everybody is out here working. We have kids, whatever. Like life is lifing, and I get it. But here's the deal. If you keep putting this off, where will you be a year from now? Where are you going to be 5 years from now? If the answer is still frustrated, still single, still, I'm sure those are things you're not going to say. You're probably going to say, I'm going to be happy because I'm happy being by myself and single. It is true. A lot of us are happy single because, again, nobody's there to mirror and trigger our wounds that we need to heal as human beings. So yes, you are going to be there. You're going to live, this mediocre life of just existing and living the same 24 hours over and over again. But then ask yourself on your deathbed, will I have any regrets? I didn't really go too deep within myself to really ask myself these questions, to really make these connections with women, to be forgiving, to learn, to love. Like, will these be regrets that you're going to have? Ask yourself these questions. Maybe they won't be. Maybe you're going to be like, I don't care. And that's the journey that you're on. And that's totally fair, because everybody's so different. Maybe in my last lifetime, I was that person. And now I've woken the fuck up and be like, oh no, I'm going to do the work. The phrase old soul is there for a reason, right? Like, I at least believe it, that a lot of us have been here on this earth quite a lot. So we have learned our lessons. And so we know, okay, we need to do the work in order to move on to wherever our soul needs to go. But some souls have not learned that lesson yet. And that is okay. Again, as I mentioned, we're all on a journey, and whatever is your truth, that is completely fair enough. Okay. I'm just here to kind of shed some light onto a couple of things and see if maybe this does resonate or this does impact you in some way. The guys who win in life are the ones who make the time to level up. And the thing is, you can never be too busy to create a life that's fruitful with a happy, supportive woman who's, a ride or die, have a beautiful family. Like, there's nothing that can equate to that. No success, no amount of money can equate to a family that you can share your joy, your pain with. Because at the end of the day, who are we without a home? Who are we without a family? All this success just doesn't mean anything if we don't have somebody to share it with. And last but not least are men who choose to not invest into themselves, okay? And by the way, I have been that person, so I'm not even going to sit here and say that I've always been into investing into myself. I didn't see the value in it until I actually did it. And I pushed through, and I remember I didn't have any money to do it. I spent a lot of money, and I sold my granny's gold to invest because I was like, life is too short. I always look at older people, in the little, what are those things called? You like push them. I can't remember. But anyways, I always look at them and I'm like, in another, I don't know how many ever years, like 20, 30, 40, okay, maybe a little bit later, I'm going to be that person. I don't know who, am I going to have a husband? Am I going to have kids? I don't know what's going to be in my life. But before I get there, I want to live. I want to make decisions that scare the shit out of me. And that's just me. Again, that's my soul, right? Not everybody's soul. Maybe you don't resonate with that, and that's totally fair enough. But this is what I'm saying, is that sometimes when you feel like you're doing something and it's not working and you really need that help and guidance, that one little shift that can make such like a tremendous difference in your life, it is worth every single penny. Just be honest with yourself. How much money, energy, time, which for me is the biggest thing ever, have you wasted on bad relationships, on a divorce? Ooh, those are painful. Or dead end dating? How much money? Just think about a ballpark. What do you think the answer is? It's going to be way more than a single session with me, okay? I'm just saying, the cost of not fixing whatever's holding you back is way higher than actually solving it. If you really think about that, you're going to see how valuable investing into yourself is. And honestly, once you do it, it's a muscle. You do it once, you see the results, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to keep doing it. And you keep on doing it because our parents have not told us or taught us that investing into yourself is a good thing. I mean, most parents. Just start with a small one and see, are you getting good results? And I'll obviously do your research. Make sure, like even with me, whenever I work with people, I want to make sure that you are a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you. Men who invest in their personal growth growth mindset and accountability are 3 times more likely to see significant improvements to both their financial success and their relationships. All right. And again, there's never a right time to invest. There just never is. You're never going to be like, oh, now is the right time. Now I feel prepared. That feeling is never going to come. You're going to go to your grave and then you're going to, wow. The same investment that you make on your mindset can also change your love life and your bank account. It's literally everything in your life is intertwined because it's all about your energy. And so I recommend to take action. Don't sit on this. And I also want to mention, I do offer no bullshit breakthrough single sessions for men who are ready to level the F up. And basically, I'm going to show you exactly what is holding you back and how to fix it. It's going to be very easy, very simple. So if you want to check the details, my link is down below. And I'm going to see you guys in my next video.